These are the 5 reasons I left Portland, Oregon last year. In this video, we're going to go over all the reasons that made me not stay in Multnomah County. I moved to Milwaukie, Oregon, which is just 10 minutes south of Portland. And a lot of the reasons have to do with wanting to remain around Portland, but not wanting what Portland had to offer. So subscribe for the most recent updates on the Portland real estate market. Feel free to sign up for my headhunter list where I headhunt the perfect property for you in our greater Portland metro area. And wait for the last one. I really think it's going to shock you what my number 5 reason is for leaving Portland, Oregon. So before we start our video, we're going to go over the different counties. In the Portland area, there's Multnomah County, which is where I moved from. There's Clackamas County, which I moved to. And then you've got Clark County to the north, which is part of Washington State. I've also lived there. And then you've got Washington County to the west, which is in Oregon State, and that's west of Portland. So if that didn't confuse you, I'll show you a map here. So I moved from Multnomah County, which is Portland proper, down to Clackamas. One of the main reasons I did that is, I wanted to escape some of the reasons I'm going to list further down in this video. But the main reason was you can have a lot of the Portland feel in Clackamas County without all the Portland problems that I'm going to list. See that on the map, the Willamette River is the thing that separates East and West Portland geographically. Now that border also separates Clackamas County, and it'll give you a similar feel based on which side of the river you are. In Clackamas County on the east side, you've got places like Clackamas, Oregon City, Milwaukie, Gladstone, and it's the old America feel, where perhaps you don't see as many watered lawns, or you've got a lot more blue-collar workers, but there's also kind of a slowed down feel compared to the main bustle of the city. So if you're looking for not quite the country lifestyle, but not quite the city lifestyle, you'll get a nice mix of the two in a place like Milwaukie or Oregon City or Clackamas. Whereas places like Lake Oswego, West Linn, and I'm going to throw Happy Valley in there even though it's on the east side, those are communities where it's a little bit more upper class. Your price point starts getting into the $700,000 to $800,000 range. And it's also very similar to West Portland and to Beaverton, where a lot of the people in big industries such as Intel, Nike, a lot of the main staples that keep the Portland market thriving live in those neighborhoods and communities. You'll also see that on the west side, to include Portland proper, is where you have a lot of A and A+ schools, and that's just natural that the money goes where the good schools do, and the good schools go where the money goes. Those two are fairly often in hand, but there are also some great private schools and some great public schools on the east side. Our kids go to a great private school on the east side, and so we're very happy with where we are at. Now, the second reason that I moved from Portland was just the family-friendly nature of being in Clackamas County. Whereas Portland was a great place to start off as a young married person and even single, it's where I met my wife. I was single there for a long time, and it's just a great place to go out. The nightlife is amazing. Mount Tabor and the views from up there is an amazing place to hike. And there's just so many things to do in Portland if nightlife and restaurants and the food scene is your thing. But as you slow down and maybe you have dinner at home more often and you want a bigger yard for the kids, you're not going to get those big yards in Portland as often, or you're going to pay a premium for them. Whereas that lower density housing versus the higher density housing in Portland, you're going to get a lot more of that low density housing in Clackamas County and those surrounding suburbs. Clackamas specifically, you can get a fairly big sized lot, like a 1/4 acre, for the same price as, and a similar sized home as, a city lot in Portland. And so that was a huge reason that we moved down here, was for a bigger yard. Now, the third reason that I moved from Portland down to the Milwaukie area was taxes. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the last point, is that if you get a super big lot in Portland, you're going to end up paying some fairly large property taxes for that land. So the home I moved from in Southeast Portland was a 900 square foot home. It was a 3-bed, 1-bath, and it was on just under a 5,000 square foot lot. And if you didn't know, 5,000 square feet is considered your typical 50 by 100 city lot. Now, our new home in Milwaukie, Clackamas County unincorporated, is almost twice the lot size, actually just over, and it's 2.5 times size the home, and our property taxes are, guess what, the exact same amount. Now, that's just property taxes. There are some articles and statistics out there, and it depends on your income bracket, that will say that if you live in Multnomah County specifically, you're going to be taxed higher than anyone else in a major U.S. city. And that is true for a lot of people. There's different taxes like the daycare tax if you make over $1 million gross, which actually ends up hitting a lot of restaurant owners because gross is measured on what you bring in, but not what you net. So like a restaurant selling a lot of food is naturally also going to have a lot of head-up expenses. So those taxes end up hitting a lot of people that actually don't make a whole lot of money. They just bring in a lot of money, but they've got overhead like employees and food and, you know, insurance on all those expenses that are associated with running a business. So yeah, another big reason was the taxes. There's a huge tax saving when you move down to Clackamas County. A lot of people will move up to Clark County because it'll save on the state income tax. So typically, and this is rounding up or down depending on how you look at it, but I always expect to pay about 20% of my income to federal taxes, and then about an additional 10% to state income. And that 10% would not be going out of my pocket if I were to move up to Washington State. Now, of course, you've got the sales tax associated with Washington State. So another reason that I moved from Southeast Portland to Milwaukie is that I'm a headhunter. I can headhunt a property for you as well, and I like to look at the next market that's going to evolve. And just like if you were to look for a home on a neighborhood that was the least developed or needed the most work, that's the one that's going to get you the most equity. Now, I've got that same theory when it comes to a larger scale. When you're looking at neighborhoods surrounded by neighborhoods or towns surrounded by towns that are the least desirable on the block. Now, you might have heard me say earlier that Milwaukie does have some unimproved roadways. There's a little bit of a tackiness where everything's not quite pieced together compared to the west side where everything is very put together. Now, the west side has seen an enormous equity shift over the last 2 years because of how pieced together it is and how nice it is. But I see huge potential on the east side, specifically in Clackamas County, where there's huge development projects going in. They're making huge changes to the roadways, the bike paths, and Oregon City is about to have a similar style downtown landscape remix that happened to downtown Vancouver. So you're talking an entire downtown revamp that's going to bring equity and business and tourism and all the things that will drive future growth for the people that live in the area. And there's also just, I would say, little known or lesser known things such as like the trail that I'm walking on is the trolley trail that connects Gladstone all the way down to Milwaukie, and you can actually take a bridge over to Oregon City via the trolley trail, and it's kind of an artery that connects all of these neighborhoods together. So I definitely see the equity growth shooting up because we're so close to places like West Linn, just on the other side of the Glen Jackson. You're gonna see a natural effect. And if I were to live this close to the Clackamas or Willamette River in Portland proper, you're gonna end up in a neighborhood like Selwood or Ladd's Addition or a more expensive neighborhood where you've still got that nice access to the river and all of that, but you're going to be at a price point that's a lot higher, closer to the west side. I mean, I've seen homes in sale with a 1-bed, 1-bath. I sold one for $450,000, and that was 2 years ago. And so that market's only grown since. This is the final reason, and the fifth reason, that I moved from Portland to the Milwaukie area, to Clackamas County. And this one's going to surprise you, and it's the access to nature. Now, you might be saying, well, Tim, I thought that Portland was the premier destination for being in nature. You've got the Forest Park, you can see it from almost anywhere in Portland. You've got that amazing access to Multnomah Falls. You've got amazing access to nature in Portland, and I won't deny that. But one thing that Clackamas has is you've got a lot closer access to the Mount Hood foothills. So I can go down Highway 224, and there's so many lakes up past Estacada. And I've also got very close proximity to Clackamas River. So there's the Carver Park, there's the Meldrum Bar Park, which is just a few minutes from me. There's a lot more river access where I'm from, and there's just a lot more opportunities to get away quickly. Whereas in Portland, they are starting to focus on higher density, and like I said, those smaller city lots. So even if you do have pretty close access to a lot of great places, those are places that you can access via car or Max, or get there very quickly anyways. The Japanese Gardens, Forest Park, Multnomah Falls are always going to be there. But to me, having the trees and having the larger lots, people that have, like, I mean, look right here. You're still going to have this in Portland, but I just feel like with these larger yards in Clackamas County, you end up feeling a little bit more connected to nature. And that was just one thing that I love Portland, because it's green, and I want to remain in a city that's green. And not to get into too controversial of a topic, but I would also say that parts of Multnomah County have not done a great job at maintaining that mentality of let's clean up garbage and let's stay clean and green. Whereas I think Clackamas County does a great job at ensuring that we're staying beautiful and that we've got a nice community. And so I would say that after moving from Portland last year, and you go back over into the county border, you kind of have this wake up of like, wow, I lived in Portland and it's still a great place to be, but I would say that there's a lot of improvements needed and a lot more needed to get it to the level that a lot of people fell in love with a decade ago. So I'm not saying that it's hopeless. I'm not saying don't move to Portland or Multnomah County proper, because I think there's a lot of reasons too, but those were my personal reasons for moving south. And if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, or if you want a neighborhood guide to all of these different neighborhoods to unlock that, and for me to be that headhunter for your next property, I'm here for you. And just be watching out for the next video. I am here to provide information about your local Portland market. I'm licensed in Oregon and Washington, so I can help you find and unlock that perfect home or that perfect neighborhood that's going to fit your lifestyle. You guys take it easy, and I'll see you next week.